Hey, welcome back, students. In the last video, we learned how to download and upload a drawing template for Fusion 360. In this video, we're going to start dropping some shapes in there. So I've got my Puzzle Cube project up on the screen, and you'll notice I'm still in my animation workspace. So I'm going to come to the workspace area, click the drop down, and I'm going to go to Drawing from Design. Right now, this is my assembled Puzzle Cube on the screen here. I don't actually want to make a drawing of the whole thing just yet because that would look like a 2¼ by 2¼ by 2¼ inch square. It wouldn't give a whole lot of detail. I want to let people know what the parts are shaped like. So where it says contents, I'm going to go to the drop down and go to select. I'm going to click on my top part. My top part here happens to be my red part. And then I'm going to hold the shift key down while I click the bottom one. That's going to pick all 5 of these. And then the next thing I want to check before I click OK is I'm going to come down here and make sure that I've got my Spartan Manufacturing Drawing template selected. Now, if yours doesn't show up in here, go to the Browse area. You can go into the templates project that we made. You can find your template and click Select there. If none of this sounds familiar to you, stop this video. Go watch the previous one in this assignment first. Right, so I like what I've got. I've got my 5 components selected. I've got my template picked. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Your blue wheel may spin for a minute longer on your computer because yours probably doesn't have the processing power. But what you're going to see next, is a screen here with a filled out title block. And you might be going, well, how does it have this filled out already? It pulls the information for this part here from my previous parts. All right. So it knows based on the file path here that this red part we're going to work on is made out of maple. It knows that I drew it. I'm not sure why it's saying 1023 when you can clearly see the date is 1022 here. I may have to work on that. And it tells me this is sheet 1 of 5 because there's 5 parts in the puzzle cube. And down here, if we look at the bottom, here are the other parts. Here's part 2, the purple. Here's the yellow. Here's the teal. Here's the orange. So each of these pages in here, because of the way we set up this drawing when we selected all 5, is already assigned to one of these. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my red part, and I'm going to click on this base view button. And you'll notice when I drag this down, I've got more than just my red part. I've got a few parts here. So I need to go over here where it says drawing view. And I want to make sure that I'm picking my assembled puzzle cube version 3.1. And that will let me bring just my red part over here. Right, now, the next thing we need to look at with this red part is, did we get the best front view to use as our base view? Okay, now, over here where it says orientation, you'll notice it says front, right? But there is a chance that you may have modeled this shape up in such a way that what the computer assigned the front view really wouldn't be the best front view for modeling this up. And so if you go back to our previous PowerPoint on multi-view drawings, remember a good front view typically has the longest axes running left to right. It's typically got an object in its most stable position or its most natural position of use. Right? Like the long part here is on the bottom, not on the top. So this doesn't look like it's going to tip over. Typically, the longest axis runs left to right. Right? I've got that satisfied with my red piece right now. And typically, we want to avoid hidden lines and show good contour for our shape. Right? So I can tell that it's L-shaped by the way it's put right now. So that's good contour. And I don't have any hidden lines here. And so again, I think I'm kind of checking all those boxes for a good front view. If you're looking at your object and going, yeah, that's not a good front view, you're going to have to come to the drop down here and then click on these 6 other options, or I guess 5 options, because we've already are looking at one of our 6 and see, would that be a better front view? Ooh, I don't think so. All right. So, then we can go to this. Is this going to be a best front view? So you may have to click through these views, and even though it says front on yours, it may not be the best front. Right, now, I like the front view that I've got, so I'm going to place it down here in just a minute. But what I'm also noticing is this front view is a little small, so I'm going to adjust the scale or the ratio that this is drawn at. Right now, this is drawn at a ratio of half the size it would be in real life. For the purpose of this assignment, we can draw all of our objects at a scale of 1:1. All right. And then we're going to bring this over. You can see it just doubled in size. And we're going to click in just a second here to lock this front view in the lower left-hand corner. Just make sure as you lock it in or you click to place your base view, you've got a little bit of space between your view and the border lines around it. So right about the position I've got mine. Right. So again, I like where that is. I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and it'll turn it into this 2D drawing of my red part. And now I need to project the top right side in isometric view. So to do that, I'm going to use this project view button. I'm going to click my base view, and projecting views off are just as easy as dragging your mouse out in the direction you want it to go. When you've got it in a good location, go ahead and click your mouse. And when you're all done, you can just click the escape key to free yourself. And now the top, the front, and the right side are supposed to be 2D drawings with no color. Typically, we'll call out this isometric drawing by shading it in and then changing its scale slightly so it's a little bigger or a little larger than the scale used on our other parts or the other views in this part drawing. So I'm going to hover my mouse over it. I'll double click. And up top here, I'm going to go down to the fourth style tile, and I'm going to click on shaded. And then where it says scale, 1:1 from parent, I'm going to change this up. I'm going to make this bigger. I'm going to go at a scale of 1.5. And again, I'm looking at what I've got on my sheet. This looks pretty good, a little close to the border line. Typically, we want to, stay inside the lines when we're doing this. So I'll move that in just a second. And I can do that by just clicking on it. Hopefully your computer doesn't glitch out like mine just did, and we can drag this down so it's inside of the lines. So there's my red part. I'm going to continue this now by going into the purple part. I'm going to click on base view. Everything is showing up here, so I'm going to change it to my assembled puzzle cube. Now I've just got the red part showing up. There we go. I needed to change it to 3.2 for this one, or the second version, because I dropped each of my parts in one at a time to get that purple piece to show up. And this is kind of what I was talking about in the last one. Right now, I don't think this is my best front view of this object. It's here, but I think I need to rotate this object around because this view really isn't the most stable position of use. Right? So I'm going to switch up the scale, and I will be very honest with you. I'm new to this program, so I'm going to go do a little bit of Googling myself. I'll explain to you how I did that in just a second. All right, I'm back. I did some Googling, and I think I got it figured out. So again, I was in my base view. I've got the whole cube showing up, so I'm going to change it to my second purple object. My purple object's a little tiny, so I'm going to change the scale to 1:1. All right. Now it's bigger, but again, not in a very stable position with that small piece being down low. I do think this is going to give me good profile because I don't have any hidden lines. It kind of shows the L shape. I've got the small square there, but not in its most stable position. So I'm going to lock it in here, click OK, and then I'm going to go to the Modify tab, and I'm going to rotate. Right now it's asking me over here, what do you want to rotate? So I'm going to click and drag a box around this. And then I'm going to go to the transform button, and it says specify a base point. So this is just a corner that we want to twist it off of. So you could pick any corner for your object, and then I'm going to spin it around, and it should snap right to 90 like so. So now I've got it in the right position for my front view, but it's not in the right location. You can see I'm going outside of the lines here. So I'm going to click OK. I'll come back. I'll click on this once and just hold my mouse button down to drag it into that lower left-hand corner. There's where I want it. All right, now that I've got that view in the correct location, I can go to the project again, and I can pick this view, and then I can just start projecting off my other views. All right. Once I've got those in place, I'm going to double click here. We'll shade that in, and just like the previous one, we're going to make it a little larger. And just like the previous one, it went across the line, so I need to drag this inside of my border lines. All right, that's looking good. So we are going to move on to the next sheet down here. And I think you guys at this point should be getting the hang of this. So I'm going to leave you to finish your drawing, and we'll add some dimensions in the next video.